Welcome back to Real Conversations with Nora for our 43rd episode. And our topic of discussion this week is how to deal with not being able to physically have children and deciding to adopt. My special guest is Quanda Bennett-Anderson. Quanda, I want to thank you for being my guest today.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
So, did you ever, because we've known each other for a long time, let me see, I think I met you when you were like, oh my, in your teens, early teens.
Yes.
Early teens. Oh my goodness. And now you have two beautiful baby children.
Yes.
Adopted. So, but through that whole process, because I know there was a period when, because you and Haven have been married for so long, and there was a period where you weren't ready to have children.
Mm-hmm.
But then you were, then there was a period you weren't ready to have children.
Right.
So did you ever feel depressed about not being able to physically give birth?
Honestly, I did feel challenged because I kind of blamed myself for waiting. I was like, well, maybe if you had to try to do this a little bit earlier, it wouldn't be as difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly did kind of blame myself for us not being able to physically have children. And we went through all of the testing, etc. And, everybody was saying everything was still fine. You guys can still conceive if you want to, but we decided, okay, Lord, if it hasn't happened now, let's move on to another alternative.
Right. So when you realized that you couldn't physically have children, at what point did you guys decide that you wanted to adopt? Well, that was kind of recently, really.
It really was. It really wasn't until about 3-4 years ago we honestly started having that conversation. As we both began getting a little older and mature, and it was like, if we're going to do it now, is the time, or it's not going to be the time. Mm-hmm. And so just recently, in about the last 3-4 years, we decided, okay, this is what we're going to do.
So did you have conversations? Because I know that you were really, you have very close family.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about, when we make decisions to do something, then we go to family and say, so what did the family have to say about your thoughts about adopting?
It's funny you said that because, we are an older couple adopting little ones. And I did go to my mother, who was like my best friend. And so I was like, Mom, we're really thinking about doing this. And she was she was a strong encourager. She was like, Quanda, we're here for you guys. If this is something you decide to do, she was like, I want grandchildren. So, I'm all for it. And you have our support. So that made the decision a lot easier. Because you need the family support to try and rear a family. So she was behind me, my father was behind me, his mama was behind me, everybody was ready. So it made it a lot easier for us to move forward with that decision.
So let's talk a little bit more about this. You said not to. They say not to blame yourself, but you said that you did. You took the blame. I'm sure, because I know Haven, and he's just such a sweet person. He's so kind-hearted. He'll do anything for you. So, but still, it doesn't take away that blame, because you're the woman. You're the one that's carrying the baby. You're the one that's
exactly.
And so we always take it on. So, what did it do? How did it make you feel? Especially if you saw other people that had children, knowing you had children. So
it was difficult.
How did you overcome it? Let's talk about how you overcame it, rather.
Prayer, a lot of prayer, a lot of it was a decision that I made, and that I actually decided that, okay, you decided to have children later in life. That's over. It's nothing you can do about that. So move on. As far as actually being able to have children, well, maybe this is not the way you were supposed to have children, because there's so many children out there who do need a family.
Right.
So maybe God said, no, this is your avenue for having children.
Wow.
And if I decide to bless you, open your womb, whatever, it'll happen. So once I got over that part, and that was kind of confirmed in my spirit, and by my husband, and by other women who was actually kind of going through some of the same things I was going through.
Right.
I was able to move forward at that point. And I think that's when clarity came for the adoption process.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because you now you have these two small children. You had Sophia, right? Sophia's
yes,
name.
Sophia. Yes, I mean.
Sophia first. But let's talk about, because Haven's a pastor, you're a first lady, you guys are very active in your church affiliation, And so that meant your life was about to change. What thought process did it waver? Or maybe should we do it because we're so busy, and do we have time? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that happens with people and couples, and even though they want to have children, but when the children come, you don't realize, like, oh shoot, I got to change this. I got to get a babysitter. Like you had to get a babysitter today.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, because it really made a shift in your life.
It made a huge shift, especially for my husband, because he is so actively involved in his ministry. And so he was involved in a lot of things, the pastor, and then this organization, and this association, and this. And so when the children came, we did have to it was a halt. It was like, okay, you can't really be at the church Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and even for me, making adjustments with me as far as working and career and those kinds of things. We had to, take a hard look at that. And it was difficult at first, having to do your whole life stop because of little people, and actually having to think first, okay, how's this going to affect the babies? Who is going to be home with the babies? Who do we want to watch the babies? All of those things. It was a little challenging at first, I do have to admit. Thank God though, family was there and stepped in to help us out, sort through all of it, because it was a lot.
Right. Well, that's awesome. This is so wonderful. You adopted two beautiful children who happen to be brother and sister, or sister and brother, because Sophia came first, sister and brother. How did that all come? I mean, can you talk about how that came about? Because I know you had Sophia first.
We had Sophia. It was just, I guess God just kind of worked it all out. We had Sophia, and then literally we were just gonna adopt one baby. That's all we thought we could handle at our age, honestly. And then we literally got a call and said, look, we have another sweet little baby boy who needs another home, and we thought about you guys. And so we talked about it, and the Lord said yes. And so he said, just like I provided you with support with the first one, I'll provide you with support with the second baby. So then we ended up with both of them together, and it's just amazing. It is. It's challenging at times.
Yes. They're little. Oh my God, I'm glad those years are over.
That's what all of my friends say.
So let's talk about the process, because I'm sure there's a process that one has to go through. Is it foster caring for them at first, and then how does that all go work out? Because I really don't know.
Yeah, it really is a process. Down here with Mecklenburg County, which is where we came from, or the system we came through, it was interesting because at the time we started thinking about adopting, they actually had a program where you could foster and you could actually adopt. So we knew from the beginning that adoption was our main focus. And so when we joined them, we actually became a part of the adoption cluster, or parents who were solely interested in adopting. And of course, you have to go through a process and be checked out and verified and all that kind of thing. And we did that. And then you do foster before you can actually adopt. You are considered a foster parent until the adoption process is completed. Right. And so that's what happened with both the children. They came into our home. We went through the process of getting to know them. It takes time for them to complete all of the paperwork and process you and, everyone involved. And so by the time you finish all that, it's normally around almost a year, 10 months to a year. Wow. Yeah. Wow. But the child is still in your home, and you're still considered the parent. And then they go through the formality of legalizing it through the courts, and then, of course, through the state. So.
Because there's two things I'd like to talk about. So as you're going through the fostering part, fostering the children, is any financial support given to you through the state?
That we did not realize at the time, but they will, especially if you are considered adoption parents. We were under the assumption that, you're going to adopt, this is solely on you. But because the child is still a part of the system, they will grant you like a small stipend to kind of keep you going to help the children throughout the process. So yes, ma'am.
And then the other part is the biological mother. Once you adopt, are all ties from her,
eliminated?
Closed? Yeah, eliminated, closed. Or is that something that's left up to the adopted parents, whether they want to put that mother in the child's life? Which probably, I would think anyway, be a little challenging and confusing, not only to the children, mostly, not to the parents.
Good question. The system kind of allows it up to you, but when you complete your adoption process, the state of North Carolina has closed adoptions. So once that's finalized, that's it. So those biological parents' ties are completely cut off at that point.
Wow.
And it is left up to the adoptive parents, if there's any connection with the biological parent, to allow those children to continue to be a part of their life. But once the adoption process is complete, it's left totally up to the adoptive parents, which we liked, because like you said, it can be confusing. And so for us, we decided, we're going to just kind of, until they get a little older.
Right. And not asking questions.
Yeah. We don't want them to not know, I don't think that would be fair to them, but we don't want them to have to deal with a whole bunch of that while they're toddlers and babies and growing. So
yeah, absolutely. So they say it's important. I read something the other day because I just, oh my God, I love to Google. So I read something the other day and it said that it is important to work with your partner as a team. And so share with us how you and Haven did that.
Through the process, or okay.
And even now, I mean, because you're new parents, you didn't have children for years. It was you and him. Y'all go eat dinner, go to the movie, or we're traveling somewhere. So
yes,
you wanted to do what you wanted to do, but now you have to become a partnership, because let's face it, you're adopting these children. You're the mother. The responsibility could possibly be all on you. While you go to the church and stay there till 8 till 10 or whatever. Right. But there has to be what they were saying. There has to be a partnership.
That's right.
As a team to work together.
That's right.
As you raise these children, and this is not even if you adopt children. This is in general.
Yes,
that's always the case. We know that women take on a lot of responsibility when it comes to children. So
that's a good question. We did sit down and kind of talk about if we're going to go through this process, even if we, conceive on our own, what it would look like. And so he did say, once we decide to bring these children in our life, and if God grants it, then I will, on my own, I will begin to reduce my hours here at the office, and you will see me more present at home. Right. And I have to say, he has done that. Now, there are those moments like today that's been kind of crazy, where a lot of the things have landed in my plate just because he had responsibilities he could not, change or get away from. But we have a calendar, learned this from our days together in business. And we have a calendar. And so we mark everything that we have to do each individually on that calendar, what's most important. And then we write the children's schedule beside it, their appointments and what time they go to school and what time we have to pick them up. And then we try to come together and see which person is better able to handle the schedule for that day.
Awesome. So teamwork, baby. That is so, and I could see Haven doing that because he's that kind of person anyway. Yeah. So with that being said, especially with COVID, this virus going on, are the children in daycare? Where are they?
They are in,
right? Sophia's 3, right?
Yes, she'll be 3. Look at you. Good memory. She'll be 3 in 2 weeks, actually, national. She'll be 3 in 2 weeks. So yes, ma'am. She is, they are both in daycare. Okay. But we've been very, very careful in the school. We didn't send them back immediately when the daycare's open because, everybody was closed for a while. And so we actually kept them home. We decided, you'll stay home, Quanda, for maybe the next 3 weeks, and then I'll stay home for the next 3 weeks to kind of let it, not go away, but it was really hot and heavy for a while.
Yeah, sure it was.
Put them back into that kind of environment.
Right.
But now, since the school has pretty much assured us that everyone's been vaccinated and they don't really have any cases or anything like that, we decided to go ahead and put them back in. So they've been in good maybe about 2 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what are you doing now as a career? Because I understand you're working, and so in Haven, he's a full-time pastor.
Yes.
Senior pastor. You're first ladies, and you're working too. So what are you doing now as a career?
I'm actually working at Metro Disability School in the teaching field, and so my goal right now is to decide if I want to do that full time. Because I'm an entrepreneur by heart, so so that kind of allowed me to kind of keep my teaching skills and stuff up while I still, kind of decide what I want to move forward, and what we were in the business with together before, or I'm just kind of where God is lending me right now. But right now, I'm just kind of concentrating on the little people right now, just to get them up to their age enough where they're a little bit more independent. And then I can kind of move on a little bit more.
Right. So, and I never, as long as we've known each other, I've never really asked you this. So is your educational field in your?
It is not.
It's not in education.
It's in business. That's my degree.
That's
It's in business. But we love teaching. That's all we've done for the past 25 years. I've been teaching women how to, do this and do that. And so I love it. And that's what I kind of found that I love. And I do miss that part of it. And so while we were trying to figure out, what we're going to do with the babies, if I'm going to come home again full time or whatever, I had actually started that before the process got completed with the children. And so that's kind of how I ended up there. So still hadn't quite decided, just trying to listen to the Lord.
Yeah, and see what he has to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, talk about the joy. Let's talk about the joy that the children have brought into your life, Haven's life, your family's life, his family's life, and the church's life. I mean, because, your church is like all churches, I hope they are, like a big family. So, what joy have they brought into your life?
I'm going to tell you, National, the first time they actually, both of them, called me mommy was just like, it just lit my little soul on fire. It was just the most beautiful words, for me. And especially for my mom, even though she didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with them when she was really sick, one of the things that she said, which I just love, she said, I am so glad you and Haven decided to do this because I get the opportunity to be a grandmother.
Wow.
And so it just, I think about that all the time now, when they running around jumping off of sofas, I'm like, okay, Lord, Mama, this is for you. This is for you.
How is the little boy?
Josiah is 2.5.
Oh, so they're very close in age.
They are very close in age.
Oh, okay.
Yes, like right there. So they both have all that energy. But it has done such joy. Haven loves having a son. Our son actually looks just like him. So it is so crazy. Their birthdays are 3 days apart.
Oh my goodness.
It's true. I
couldn't imagine any better.
Yes. And his mom loves the babies. I mean, we never have to really worry about babysitters because the family, our babies are the first grandbabies on both sides of the family.
Wow.
So so from great aunts to great uncles to cousins, everybody has kind of jumped in to take care of them and support us with them because it's just a blessing for both of us.
So awesome. That is so awesome. Wow. Well, how's your dad doing? Let's talk about him, how he's doing. I know you recently lost your mom.
Yeah.
And, who is just, oh my goodness, I loved her. She was such she was a blessing in my life.
Thank you.
Especially when I needed her to be.
Yes.
And so, him, losing his wife and of how many years?
53.
53 years. Look at God, but God. He brings these beautiful grandchildren into the picture. So how does he deal with being a grandpa?
Oh, so it was a tag team event, before Mom went to be with the Lord, but now he has really stepped up. Today they were at daycare. He drops in to check on them to see how their day is going.
Oh, that's so
he'll pick them up from school for me sometimes. Like, honey, you have something to do? I'm like, well, no, not really. well, go ahead and do something. I'm gonna pick the babies up for you, after school.
Oh,
So
that's so sweet.
it's helping him to keep him occupied and
Yeah.
young and still going. So I thank God for that too. Because when you do things or you make decisions, you never necessarily know, of course, what the future is gonna hold.
Right.
And so for us, it has been just a blessing, especially for him, because it keeps him active and keeps him going. And he's not at home moping around because he got a lot of work to do chasing two little people.
Right. And when you look at it, children are a gift and a blessing from God.
Yeah.
They may not always come to the world the right way, but they are a blessing from the Lord.
Yes, absolutely.
Jesus loved the little children. So, we know that. So that is just amazing. So let's talk about April.
Okay.
She loves being an auntie.
Yes, she does. She spoils them rotten. Like every week she gets something from Auntie April. And so they look for her. And it's so funny. Now they walk in, Auntie, hug her, bring me a present. So they know she's bringing something. So it has helped her a lot too, because her and my mom are very close. And she's single, so she's not married and no children. So they are like hers. So she literally texted me before I came in, I'm on my way up there in a little while. I'm like, okay. So she loves it. So they have been such a joy. We just never knew, how much of a blessing they were going to be to our life and our family.
Right. So is April's still staying with your dad, living with your dad?
Yes, and it was so funny. Right before my mom got sick, my mom was actually looking for apartments and stuff for her.
Wow.
And then my mom she's really been fighting sickness for about 2.5, 3 years. And April would always say, I just don't know if this is the right time. I just don't know if this is the right time. And then, so my dad is now trying to encourage her to go ahead and do it. But now, of course, I got to stay home and take care of daddy. I'm like, girl, get out there and get your own place. Daddy fine.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, Quanda, I want to thank you. This was such a joy. I have really enjoyed this. Well, we haven't seen each other. We talk each other. We text each other. I just absolutely enjoy seeing your beautiful face, your smile. I'm so excited that you're happy, that you have joy, that you have two beautiful children, that God has blessed you with two beautiful children. And of course, I love Haven. So you've got an amazing husband. And so I just really want to thank you for being my guest on Real Conversations with Nora today and arranging your schedule with the little one so that you could be here. Because I was like, oh God, is this going to be a rush for her? It's 6 o'clock. She got to get to work. She got to put the baby. What she got to do?
Thank you, National. I consider it an honor and a privilege. And please give my love to Neil and your family as well. I love him. And so I said hello.
Are there any last minute comments that you would like to share with the audience? Because I'm sure that there are a lot of women that have gone through or even contemplating going through, just come through. Is there any last minute comments that you would like to share?
I would say that you're never too old. Because that was my biggest thing. I was, so hesitant because I would be an older mom, and I'm like, Lord, is that the right thing to do? And it was like, yes. And the way the children came into our life, they don't know, you play with them, you love them, they don't care. They just want to be with a family. So you're never too old. Don't doubt yourself. If God has given you this thought or this notion to reach out and become a mother and a father to someone, please do so.
Wow, that is so awesome. Well, once again, I want to thank you for your insight. It was amazing on today's topic. It was wonderful. And to my Real Conversation with Nora audience, please follow us on social media. At Instagram rather at BWOTMFG and on Facebook at Businesswomen on the Move for God. Visit my website at BWOTMFG.com and sign up for our new programs. Make sure you stop by our retail store where you'll find lots of great items, not only for you, but your family and friends. And also ask your friends to watch the show each week and share it with others. And I look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Real Conversations with Nora. Have a blessed and prosperous week. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. Well, I hope you enjoyed your Mother's Day. But God bless you. And Quanda, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, National. Have a great one. Love you. Bye.